would like to briefly introduce myself. First. My name is Patrick BEZOMBES. I'm the French National Coordinator for AI Standardization within AFNOR. I'm also the chair of the French National Committee on AI Standardization. And another hat, because I have plenty of hats actually, another hat is I'm the vice chair of the CENELEC JTC21, which is a European standardization organization, which is going to address and support the European Commission in its development of the AI Act. I would like to get back to the previous presentation on AI sustainability. AI sustainability is not a part of the AI Act. Some people are regretting it, but that's a fact. Now, it doesn't mean that the topic is not on the table. And actually, SC42, so ISO IEC, is going most likely to launch something by the end of this month on AI sustainability. And it's going to cover the benefits of AI, because AI does consume energy, but it could save a lot of energy as well. Okay, so let's get back to my presentation. You've heard a lot today the word trustworthiness, AI Act, standardization, but then how to connect the dots, how to connect those three terms, if I may say. And this is what I'm going to brief you about. Well, first of all, you won't have trustworthy AI without standards, that's for sure. Now, the connection between regulation and standardization is not that obvious. And that might be a specific European approach. Okay. Yeah, okay. So how does it work in Europe? Well, at the center, well, here it's not really at the center, but at the on the side, on the left, you have the European Commission, which is the kind of mastermind of all what is happening. They're developing what they call the AI Act, the AI regulation. Oops. Okay. Now, the unique specificity in Europe is that the AI regulation is going to rely on standardization. Because when the AI Act says we want robustness, we want accuracy, well, they don't really define and specify metrics on robustness, on accuracy, on human oversight. They are expecting standardization, the European Standardization Organization, to define what it is. So it is really important to understand that, because while many people are complaining about what's coming, they don't understand that they could participate to the building of those standards on which they will have to show conformity. Okay. So what is happening is while the European Commission is developing its AI Act, it's going to send what they call a standardization request. I'll get back to that later. This standardization request is going to be sent to the three European standardization organizations, which is CENELEC and ETSI, sorry. CENELEC are joint, so it's going to be sent to basically to two bodies. CENELEC can use ISO IEC standards and just adopt or adapt them if needed. Or there is the other possibility to develop homegrown standards. Now, when this is done, those standards that will support the AI Act will be called harmonized standards. Those harmonized standards are going to be published within the European Official Journal. And the conformity to those standards is a presumption of conformity to the regulation. So this is very strong. You see the strong connection between the AI Act, the regulation, and the standardization. And this is quite unique, I believe, because I've not seen that in the US or elsewhere. Now, of course, the European Standardization Organization are going to work on other topics than supporting the AI Act, of course. So the European Standardization of Environment, well, as I just mentioned, we have the European Commission, which is drafting the AI Act, will send us a standardization request. We've seen the draft. I'll show you just after. You have the ISO SC42, which is the International Committee on AI Standardization, which is going to feed CENELEC on JTC21 with its own set of standards. And ISO SC42 is very, very productive. So far, we have more than 35 standards. Well, they are not all of equal interest, let's be honest, but some are very useful, very interesting. So you have standards on terminology, you have standards on risk management, you have standards on AI management systems, you have standards on life cycle, data quality, explainability, many things. So plenty of materials. Now, the issues with those standards are all not materials able to support regulation, because when it comes to regulation, you need certainties. You don't need very fuzzy or too flexible concepts, because otherwise you can't demonstrate conformity to something that is not very well defined. So there are a couple of issues with those standards. But still, they bring very valuable inputs. Then you have CENELEC JTC21, which I am chairing with Sébastien Hallensleben, who was there this morning. CENELEC JTC21 is a very new committee. We have 18 months old. We are 18 months old. And we have launched a couple of initiatives on natural language processing, on nudging. We are considering things on green AI, but I think we're going to drop that one because it's going to be covered by C42. And basically what we're going to do, what we're going to spend a lot of our time on is adapting SC42 standard. Then, for those who would be interested in participating in those work, well, you probably should consider joining your own national standardization bodies organization. In France, it's AFNOR. In Germany, it's DIN or DK. Yeah. And by the way, JTC21 works with other organizations who have liaison with IEEE, which is producing a lot of standards as well. We have a liaison with ETSI. We have a liaison with JISC, the Japan Standard Committee. And I could say that, amazingly, we are very much like-minded. We have similar concerns, if I may say, including on ethics. And last but not least, we have some connection with NIST, the National Institute for Standards on Technology in the US, which is in the framework of the Europe-US Technology on Technology, Trade and Technology Council, sorry. So let's get now to this coming standardization request from the European Commission. 10 requirements. I'm not going to go through all of them, but you could review them. Risk management, governance, record. Yeah. But then there are a couple of things that are very important, which are linked to what we call the trustworthiness characteristics. Transparency, human oversight, accuracy, robustness, cyber security. And those are going to be defined within JTC21. One important thing to have in mind as well is the fact that, I'm quoting the Thierry Breton, the European Commissioner, the approach chosen by the European Commission is a horizontal approach. Because, basically AI is very much transverse. It's all about mathematics and statistics, most of it. So they have chosen a very horizontal approach. And this is something that we have to have in mind, because at some point we'll have to interconnect the horizontal approach with the sectorial approach. Yeah. So what are going to be the criteria used by JTC21 for developing homegrown standards? Well, developing a standards, it is a lot of work. It could take 3-4 years in ISO. It could take a little less in JTC21, but it's still a lot of work. It's very painful, but it's very important to do it. So the general principle is we will use as much as possible ISO IEC standards, as long as it fits our requirements. But then we have some European specificities and requirements. So what are those? We have European values on principles. The AI Act is about protecting the safety of people, but their health, but also protecting the human rights. And those are things that you do not find in ISO IEC. So this is a kind of specificities that we have to address. Then we have the AI Act, which is a regulatory framework on which implies to bring certainties. Okay. And along with this AI Act, we have a timeline. We don't have the time we don't have 5 years to develop standards. We need something within 2 years, actually. So we're going to have a very strong horizontal approach. And then we have further requirements. We don't want to kill innovation in Europe, so we have to think about the impacts of what we're doing on SMEs, on the innovation. And we have to what I say, make it simple for innovation. It's more like a brand, but it should mean something. So now let's go to the JTC21 roadmap in support of the future AI Act. First thing, the terminology. If we don't share the same language, if we don't understand the same things, we will not go very far. So we have to agree on a set of terms, concept. Taxonomy, this is a term that is being used now by the US on the European Commission. And for that, we're going to rely on 2 standards, basically, ISO IEC 22989 and ISO IEC 23053. They've been published 2 months ago. The definition of some terms, you can find them free or online. There is a website which is iso.org, OBP, like online browsing platform, something like that. You can find those standards, the table of contents, and all the definitions are given. Now, in the standardization request, you have expectation about AI management system and AI risk management. So we're going to rely on two standards. One that is going to be very important to everybody. It's like the 9001 standards. It's the coming 42001, which is about the AI management system. It's about making sure that organizations are properly organized when they're addressing AI. Very, very important. Pay attention to this one and get ready. We have another one which is coming, which is the 23894 on AI risk management. Well, this one is very generic and will be complemented, hopefully, by a specific standard that is being developed by JTC21, on which, by the way, is being chaired by Bertrand Braunschweig. So, this is a small world, which is about an AI risk catalog. Because if we ask you to make risk assessment, it would be good if you could have a kind of risk catalog to see, to be sure that you didn't forget things obvious. The risk catalog will never be exhaustive, but at least it will be a strong basis for your risk assessment and your risk management. Then we have the trustworthiness characteristics. Trustworthiness characteristics, you've seen those that are listed in the European Commission standardization request, human oversight, accuracy, robustness. Yeah. But actually, it's a little bit more complicated than that because, for example, behind human oversight, you have explainability, you have controllability, you have monitorability, and things like that. So you're going to have a whole set of standards that needs to be characterized with, if possible, metrics or process to demonstrate that you've done the best you could. And just to make a connection with what was mentioned this morning with this project of AI trustworthiness labeling, well, the ambition is to use the same standards for regulation and for trustworthiness labeling. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to accelerate a little bit. So, horizontal requirement versus vertical specificities, a huge challenge. There is a strong trend towards working in silos. I think it's not going to work very well with AI. So there are horizontal requirements, of course there are vertical specifications, but you need to articulate that. And this is a view that is being presented at the European Commission level. We have to start working on the kind of alignment between horizontal standardization and vertical standardization. The schedule that is envisaged, the AI Act should be approved sometimes next year. Some say, well, it's the baseline. I mean, it could change, of course, but and then the entry into application is in 2 years or 3 years. We don't know yet. The standardization request, we've received a draft. We are expecting the official request by the end of this month. I think it's going to be by the end of this year, but okay, pretty soon. And it means that basically we have 2 years to develop standards. So that's not very long. Now, we have a couple of challenges. Main challenge, we have to raise awareness that AI standardization is strategic and will have significant economic impacts on our economy, on our society. So you we need to anticipate both the mandatory conformity assessment expectations and the coming trustworthiness labeling activities. And then we have to make sure that experts are mobilized, because if we don't do that, standards are going to be written by others than us. So it is really, really important to be there when we have the time, when it is those standards are being developed. And the good news that is that GTC 21 preliminary work items, the strategic ones, those items are very well addressed by Confiance.ai, because, as I mentioned, Bertrand is convener of one working group on risk assessment, and Agnes and Henry, we have seen this morning, are convener of the item on AI trustworthiness characterization.